We are on lesson 8 of our study in hermeneutics. At sa lesson po na ito, ating itutuloy yung pag-apply ng principle of context dito po sa aklat ng Philippians. We have covered chapter 1 at ang gagawin po natin sa first half nitong lesson po na ito, itutuloy natin sa chapter 2. No, this is an exercise in context at ang case study po natin ay ang aklat ng Philippians. The previous lesson, tiningnan po natin yung train of thought ng manunulat sa chapter 1. No? At sinundan lang po natin yung teksto at kung ano yung kanyang sinasabi. May mga outstanding ideas dito po sa kanyang pagsusulat. Tulad ng joy, 13 times, at least in my count, 13 times binanggit niya ang katagang joy, rejoice, at yung mga similar terms, related terms, such as contentment, peace, without anxiety. So yan pong mga kataga na yan ay related. No? So it's a positive feeling that we get dito po sa pag-aaral natin ng aklat ng Philippians. At makikita po natin dito na outstanding here is the revelation of the Apostle Paul ng pinagmumulan ng kanyang sense of joy. He begins his letter with a typical salutation kung saan pinakilala niya ang kanyang sarili at si Timothy. And then, kanyang in-identify din kung sino yung mga recipients nitong sulat na ito. At ang recipients ay ang mga saints or mga mananampalataya dito po sa Philippi. This is the church. Okay? And then he gives his basic greeting, Christian blessing. At ang susunod dyan would be the first major section wherein we see the Apostle Paul revealing one of the sources of his joy. Ito po yung spiritual development ng mga mananampalataya dito po sa Philippi, yung paglago ng iglesia. Hindi ho ba yan ang objective ng isang ministro? The objective is to see Christians growing in their faith. That is a part of the disciple making purpose, no, of the minister. So here sinimulan niya sa pamamagitan ng pag-reveal ng kanyang panalangin, yung thanksgiving po niya. At gayon na lang ang kanyang pasasalamat sa Diyos dahil nakakakita siya ng iba-ibang mga pieces of evidence that point to the fact na nananahan ang Diyos sa kanilang buhay at lumalago sila sa kanilang Christian life. At tulad ng kanilang pagbibigay o yung ayon kay Apostle Paul, their partnership in the gospel with him from the first day until now. May continuity, may progress dito po sa ministry ng giving. Ang giving ay nagpapatunay na yung kanilang passion for the advancement of the gospel ay nasa sa kanilang mga puso. And they are willing to make sacrifices in order to advance the cause of the gospel. Kaya yan ay evidence ng kanilang paglago. At yung pangalawang bahagi nito, naroroon yung mismong petition, yung supplication ni Apostle Paul. Ang kanyang panalangin ay magpatuloy sa paglago itong mga mananampalatayang ito. So he thanks them for their life, of spiritual development, of spiritual maturity, and his prayer is that God would continue to complete the good work in them. Yung gawain ng sanctification, yung patuloy na paglago, ang kanyang panalangin ay, may their love abound more and more. Mamunga palalo. Kung pinapakita na nila ang kanilang pag-ibig sa pamamagitan ng pagsuporta sa ministry ni Apostle Paul, well, magpatuloy pa. Mas lalong mamunga ang kanilang buhay. That's what we see in this first major section. And then, from verses 12 to 30, makikita naman natin itong shift ni Apostle Paul from that of prayer, itinuloy naman po niya sa information. At we see here that the Apostle Paul allays the fears nitong mga mananampalatayang ito na concerned sa kanyang situation. Sabi niya, huwag kayong magdalamhati dahil yung aking sitwasyon, bagamat unpleasant, is being used by God to advance the cause of the gospel. He didn't care so much about his present situation. Hindi yun ang kanyang prime concern. Ang prime concern po niya sa pamamagitan ng kanyang buhay na isusulong niya ang gospel message. And his imprisonment is accomplishing that, is advancing the cause of the gospel. So itong major section na to, from verses 12 to 30, mahahati natin sa dalawa. The first part, is that of information. Pinapakita niya yung kanyang halimbawa, yung kanyang buhay ng pagsulong ng ebanghelyo ng Panginoon in spite of his unpleasant situation. Pero yung pangalawang bahagi naman, naroroon ang kanyang exhortation o yung utos niya dito sa mga mananampalatayang ito na sila rin in the face of various difficulties in life, dahil itong mga mananampalatayang ito ay nakakaranas ng persecution, tuloy-tuloy pa rin dapat sila. They ought to advance the cause of the gospel. So that is the flow of thought of chapter 1. Itutuloy ngayon natin ito sa chapter 2. Ayan. And I hope that you have read through chapter 2. At himay-himay nyo rin, na nakita nyo yung logical flow ng writer. As you read through, ano yung mga terms that seem to jump up, yung mga dominant ideas? Well, sana keen ang inyong observation. Mapapansin natin dito na yung idea of joy is still there. Paul continues to reveal his sources of joy. Mamaya titingnan po natin yan. And this is coupled with the new idea of unity. Hindi po ba? Very evident, tumatalon po sa mga passages, sa mga sinusulat ni Apostle Paul, itong idea ng unity, the unity of the church. And also, the other idea is that of humility. Titingnan natin yung mga connections na iyon. What is the connection of unity with that of humility? And anong connection ng humility and unity with that of the joy of the Apostle Paul? We would be looking into that. So, what seems to dominate the passage is Paul expresses his joy over the unity and humility of the church. Yan po yung description na aking maibibigay dito sa chapter na ito. And in fact, itong idea of unity ay sinimulan niya sa chapter 1. Although he was talking about the advancement of the gospel, nandun na yung pag-mention niya sa unity ng iglesia. And of course, hindi maisusulong ang cause of the gospel kung hindi tayo nagkakaisa o hindi nagkakaisa ang mga mananampalataya. So notice there in verse 27, as he begins his exhortation, conduct yourselves, sabi niya, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel. Then whether I come and see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know that you are contending, or you stand firm in one spirit, contending as one man for the faith of the gospel. So we sense here na this is a transition point. He's about to talk heavily about unity. Dahil binanggit niya yung one spirit and one man. And so, notice verse 1 of chapter 2. As we begin this chapter, sabi po ni Apostle Paul, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from His love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and purpose. Now, I underscored, make my joy complete. In other words, kung ating ipaparaphrase at itatagalog, ang sinasabi niya, pagganapin niyo ang aking kasiyahan. Again, he reveals his source of joy. Hindi ba? Paano nila mabibigyan o mapapaganap ang kasiyahan ni Apostle Paul? And the answer is, magkaisa kayo. By being, sabi rito, by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and purpose. Subalit, paano nila maa-achieve itong pagkakaisa? Ayon kay Apostle Paul, no, sa verse 1, merong mga katotohanan o masasabi nating Christian realities, mga nangyari na sa buhay ng mga mananampalataya that would enable them to have like-mindedness and sameness of love, being one in spirit and purpose. Ano-ano yon? Pansinin natin sa verse 1. Sabi rito, if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ. There you go. Hindi ho ba isang katotohanan yon sa Christian life na tayo ay nagkaisa na kay Kristo. We are reconciled. We are made one with Jesus Christ. That's a reality. At sa dahilang, spiritually speaking, we are already one with Christ. Hindi lang po tayo kaisa kay Kristo, pero kaisa tayo sa isa't isa kay Kristo. Yan ang nagbibigay sa atin ng encouragement. Encouragement to pursue practical unity sa ating iglesia. Hindi ba? Yon ang starting point ng unity, isn't it? It is not just forcing ourselves to be one when we are not. Hindi po yan. Pero ang sinasabi ni Paul, we are already one spiritually. And we are simply making it a practical reality. Another reality, sabi po niya, if you have any comfort from His love. Tayo ba ay minahal ng Diyos? He is talking about yung tinatawag na relational love. This is not just the universal love of God for all mankind, but this is the special love of God for His people. Hindi ba minahal tayo through His redemptive act? And we draw comfort from that, right? If any fellowship with the Spirit, again, the Christian reality is the Spirit resides in us. We have fellowship with the Spirit, and the Spirit is the one that binds us together in oneness. If you have any tenderness and compassion, naging tender and compassionate ba ang Diyos sa atin? Now, all those are Christian realities so that we may accomplish our unity, the pursuit of unity. Hindi lang ito human effort, yung pagpupumilit na tayo ay magkaisa when in fact, hindi tayo magkaisa-isa. Bagkus, ito po ay nagsisimula with realities, experiences that have taken place in our lives. At dahil dito, we are now exhorted to unify because God has already made us one. So ang command po ni Apostle Paul, make my joy complete. Pagganapin nyo ang aking kasiyahan. At ano magbibigay kasiyahan kay Apostle Paul? Be like-minded. Have the same love. Be one in spirit and purpose. Unity. So kung titingnan natin, no, yung dito po sa third major section, ang tinutukoy po ni Apostle Paul ay yung kanyang kasiyahan drawn from the unity of the church. The unity of the church. And the first aspect of this is that of Christian realities for unity. Yan po yung kanyang pinag-uusapan sa verses 1 and 2. Now we continue on. Ito, yung kanyang exhortation. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. But what? But in humility, consider others better than yourselves. There you go. Pinapakita niya itong susi sa unity. Inutusan nila ni Apostle Paul, no, to make his joy complete by being united. How will they be united? Well, may key element, may key attitude, no? Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility, consider others better than yourselves. What is humility? What is humility? Ang humility po, yung pag-uuna sa kapakanan, sa rights and concerns of others rather than yourself. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng pagpakumbaba. At yan ang key element or key attitude that is necessary to achieve unity. Kaya nga kung bubuuin natin ang train of thought o yung description dito po sa chapter 2, it is the joy of Paul over the humility and the unity of the church. Paano sila magkakaisa? By maintaining an attitude of humility. And what is humility? Humility is putting the concerns, the rights, the needs of others first rather than oneself. Sabi po niya sa verse 4, each of you should look not only to your own interest, but also to the interests of others. Practically, totoo rin po yan, hindi ba? Na kapag palagi natin sinusulong ang ating gusto, ang ating sarili, yan yung nagko-contribute dito po sa paghiwa-hiwalay ng katawan ng ating Panginoon, ng kanyang iglesia. But if we give in, if we put others ahead of us, yung kanilang kapakanan, kanilang needs, then we achieve practical unity as well. So yan po yung key attitude na ine-emphasize ni Apostle Paul. So if we are to identify itong pangalawang bahagi, second subsection of the overriding section, itong chapter 2, verses 1 to 30, the joy of Paul over the humility and the unity of the church. The second subsection is that of the key attitude for unity. Now, here we see in verse 5, Paul saying, your attitude, what attitude is that? The attitude of humility should be the same as that of Christ Jesus. Wonderful, isn't it? So, sa kanyang exhortation sa kanila, na magpakumbaba. Ang sinabi rin po niya, gayahin niyo ang saloobin ng ating Panginoong Hesus. Ano pong saloobin yan? Yung saloobin ng pagpakumbaba. Oh, then he goes on to describe how humble Christ was. So, napakaganda na isinasabi ni Apostle Paul, ito ay bahagi ng nature ng ating Panginoon, who He is. He humbled Himself. Verse 6, who, being in very nature God, I mean, if there is anyone, no, who has every right to insist on himself, it is God. Pero pansinin natin yung kanyang attitude. He did not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. Inuna niya, sinaalang-alang niya ang kapakanan ng luwalhati ng Diyos, unang-una sa lahat. No? He did not consider equality with God something to be grasped. Yung bang he did not play a tug of war with God the Father. No? Bagkus voluntarily ibinigay niya ang kanyang sarili sa Diyos Ama para matupad ang layunin ng Diyos Ama. At the way to do that is to take on human flesh o yung humanity. Naging tao siya. Yan ang kanyang pagpakumbaba. Hindi natin maarop yun, no? How this infinite God, at binanggit dyan, no? He is in very nature God, who would now limit himself in human flesh, in humanity. Hindi ho ba iyan ay pagpakumbaba? He took on the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness. Inuna niya ang kapakanan ng Diyos Ama. Inuna rin niya ang ating pangangailangan, ang ating kapakanan. Right? Because tayo ang beneficiaries nitong kanyang pagpakumbaba. And then in verse 8, we read, being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to death, even death on the cross. I hope we see the progress ng kanyang humility. He voluntarily gave himself to God the Father. Inuna niya ang kanyang plano. And then he took on humanity. That is another degree, ng humility. And not enough, sabi ron, he became obedient unto death. That's another level of humility. Pababa ng pababa ang kanyang pagpakumbaba, we might say. At saka, sabi niya, what kind of death? Hindi lang kamatayan na ordinaryo. Sabi rito, isang kamatayan na karumal-dumal. A very humiliating death. Death on the cross. Can you see that? That's how humble the Lord is. Ipinakita muna ang taas ng kanyang pinanggalingan para ma-sense natin ang depth ng kanyang pagpakumbaba o yung baba ng kanyang pagpakumbaba. At sa dahilang siya'y nagpakumbaba, inangat naman siya ng Panginoon in resurrection and ascension up unto heaven. Therefore, God exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name, that at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. So his example is seen in his humility, and after his humility is that of exaltation coming from God. At pinapahiwatig dito ng manunulat na kung tayo ay magpapakumbaba, naroroon naman ang pag-angat ng ating Panginoon sa atin. He who humbles himself will be exalted, will be lifted up. Kaya, ang pangatlong section or subsection dito po sa the joy of Paul over the humility and unity of the church is the supreme example of humility. That is Christ himself, seen in verses 5 to 11. Tuloy naman po natin sa verse 12, no? Na siyang may mga nagsasabi na he enters into another section. Pero I don't think so. I don't think so. Makikita po natin, sinimulan po niya itong section na ito with a therefore. In other words, tinutuloy niya ang kanyang ideya. The idea, of humility. Hindi ho ba? Sa dahilang nakita na natin ang ehemplo ni Jesus Christ, ang ating Panginoon, yung ehemplo ng kanyang pagpakumbaba. Sabi po niya, my dear friends, as you have always obeyed. Anong obedience yun? Yung obedience ng pagpakumbaba. Not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation with fear and trembling. In the previous lessons, initial lessons, napag-usapan natin ito. How false religious groups would use this passage to support the idea that salvation is by works. Pero ang pinag-uusapan po dito hindi kaligtasan or hindi yung how to be saved. Pero ang sinasabi ni Paul, continue to work out your salvation. In other words, ligtas na sila. At ang utos ni Apostle Paul, continue to work it out. Gamitin niyo ang kaligtasan na nasa sa inyo. Yung pala, ang kaligtasan, hindi lang pang langit. It gives us all the resources that we need in order to accomplish His will. At ano yung will ng Diyos sa ating buhay? Ano yung kanyang kalooban? Yung magpakumbaba po tayo. Now, notice where this energy comes from. Verse 13, for it is God who works in you. Oh, there you go. Nasa sa kanila ang Diyos. They are Christians. They are believers. It is God who works in you to will and to act according to His good purpose. There you go. So, lahat ng resources, ng enerhiya na ating kailangan upang sumunod sa kalooban ng Diyos, which is to be humble. Unahin natin ang kapakanan ng iba, kaya nating gawin. Hindi sa ating human resources, bagkus doon sa pananahan ng Diyos sa atin. Siya yung nagbibigay ng enerhiya. And so, we come to the fourth subsection. Makikita natin, this speaks of divine empowerment. For what? For humility. And this is the will of God. And the humility, the description of humility is best seen sa buhay ng ating Panginoon. And this kind of humility would now lead to our unity in the church. I hope we see the train of thought. Yung duktong-duktong, yung pagkasunod-sunod ng mga ideya. And then, he goes on to say in verse 14, do everything without complaining or arguing. Again, my question here is, does he make a shift in ideas? From humility and unity, and then he goes on to complaining and arguing. Meron bang relasyon ito? Well, ano ba ibig sabihin ng complaining and arguing? Hindi ho ba kapag hindi mo nakukuha ang iyong gusto, ikaw ay nagrereklamo. Tama po ba? When it seems things are not going your way. So, doing everything without complaining or arguing is not being humble. Is not pursuing humility. Hindi ho ba? So, binaliktad lang niya, no? Ayaw niya, he puts it in a negative way, ayaw niya na tayo, mamuhay tayo ng we murmur, we complain, we argue, which means we insist always on ourselves. When we refuse to do that, sabi po sa verse 15, you become blameless and pure, children of God. O hindi ibig sabihin ito, magiging mga anak tayo ng Diyos. We are already children of God. Hindi ho ba? Pero ang ibig sabihin ni Apostle Paul, pinapakita natin na tayo ay mga anak ng Diyos at pinabanal when we live a life of humility. When we refuse to complain and argue and insist on ourselves. We become blameless and pure children of God without fault in a crooked and depraved generation, in which you shine like stars in the universe. Ang backdrop dito ay yung itim na buhay ng sinful world. They are dominated by selfishness. Hindi ho ba ang lipunan natin is dominated by selfishness? Kung nais natin maging patotoo, and this is what the Apostle Paul is driving at, kung nais natin na maging shining stars in this crooked and depraved generation, simple lang. Refuse to insist on yourself. Do everything without complaining or arguing. At ang ating life witness, of course, is in support of our verbal witness. As you hold out the word of life, in order that I may boast on the day of Christ that I did not run or labor for nothing. Muli, ang sinasabi ni Paul, bigyan niyo ako ng opportunity na maihayag ko sa aking Panginoon. At the end of the day, when I am judged, I would say, Lord, itong mga binigay niyo sa akin, obeyed your will. These are your disciples who obeyed your will. They were witnesses of the transforming power of Jesus Christ in their lives. Wonderful. And so, we come to the fifth section. Ang fifth section is the application of humility. Sa madaling salita, abstract ang humility. Pag sinabi, magpakumbaba kayo. It's so easy for us to say. But how do we bring it down to concrete terms? Paano natin mas mabivisualize? Very practical si Apostle Paul. Ganito, sabi niya, refuse to complain. Refuse to insist on yourself. And that would have an impact in your own witness. At hindi ho ba yung previous na nakasiyahan ni Apostle Paul yung advancement ng gospel. Now we come to verse 17. He talks about himself. He talks about his own example. Sabi po niya, even if I am being poured out like a drink offering and on the sacrifice and service coming from your faith, I am glad and rejoice with all of you. So you too should be glad and rejoice with me. There you go. He was joyful within. Even if, what's interesting is that he mentioned his situation. Sabi niya, I am being poured out like a drink offering. Sa madaling salita, may sakripisyo ang kanyang paglilingkod. It is a sacrifice in itself, but not a sacrifice that is grudging. Hindi po. Pero ito ay willing. Ito ay masayang sacrifice. He describes for us an Old Testament sacrifice, a sacrifice of libation. Ibig sabihin may hain, na sinusunog At habang nasusunog ay binubuhusan ng alak. At yung samyo, no, yung amoy, the smoke itself would rise up to God as thanksgiving, an offering of thanksgiving unto God. Ang ganda, no? At sabi niya, yung kanyang sakripisyo, ang drink offering na ibinubuhos doon sa sakripisyo ng mga mananampalataya sa Pilipos. Kaya yung buong sacrifice na yon ay sakripisyo ng pasasalamat sa Diyos. And so, it may be a sacrifice. Yes, he has difficulties, he encounters hardships, maaari siyang mamatay, at ibigay ang kanyang buhay, at maging yung mga mananampalataya doon sa Philippi, they were encountering lots of persecution. But this is our thanksgiving sacrifice to God. It's not a grudging sacrifice. We are glad. We rejoice in that because God is being glorified. Kaya sabi niya, you too should be glad and rejoice. Which gives us an idea of our service. Dapat ang ating paglilingkod sa Diyos ay walang grudge. Walang yung bang pagko-complain, walang murmurings, no? Na, ang hirap-hirap naman ito. Walang bayad, etc., etc. But rather, it is with joy that we make all these sacrifices, knowing na ito'y isang pribilehiyong binigay sa atin ng Diyos. Wonderful. That is the attitude of Paul. Now, what's he saying? Kung ating isa-summarize to, no? He was demonstrating himself to be an example of humility. Don't you love that? Of course, nandiyan yung supreme example ni Christ. Pero maaring sabihin natin, si Christ yun, Diyos siya. Kaya niya yun. Pero here, we see a mere man, a human being, demonstrating humility. Hindi niya inaalintana ang kanyang sarili. That was not the preoccupation of his mind. He was not asserting his rights, his comforts, his needs. Wala pong ganon. Bagkus masaya po siyang naglilingkod. And that ought to be our example. And then, he goes on to talk about another person, yung kanyang ipapadala. Sabi niya, I hope in the Lord Jesus to send Timothy to you soon, that I also may be cheered when I receive news about you. Ipapadala niya si Timothy para mag-minister sa kanila. At matapos siyang mag-minister ay bumalik at bahagi na naman ni Timothy yung balita tungkol sa kanila. Verse 20. Now notice, he goes on to describe the attitude of Timothy. Ano yung attitude ni Timothy? I hope you would read this with me. I have no one else like him. In what sense? Who takes a genuine interest in your welfare. For everyone looks out for his own interests, not those of Jesus Christ. But you know that Timothy has proved himself, because as a son with his father, he has served with me in the work of the gospel. I hope, therefore, to send him soon, as I see how things go well with me, and I am confident in the Lord that I myself will come soon. So, in talking about yung pagpapadala niya kay Timothy para mag-minister sa kanila, sinabi rin niya ang example ni Timothy. At ano yung example ni Timothy? Underscore this, no? Sabi po ron, everyone looks out for his own interest. Pero si Timothy, he takes a genuine interest in your welfare. Saan nakatuon ang pag-iisip ni Timothy? Nasa sa kapakanan ng iba. What is that? That is humility, isn't it? Tulad ni Jesus Christ, tulad ni Paul, na hindi iniisip ang kanyang sarili, gayon din si Timothy. He takes a genuine interest in your welfare. And lastly, meron pa siyang isang tao na binanggit. Still a human example. At ito ang example ng isa sa mga leaders nila na pinadala nila para pagministeran si Apostle Paul. No? Nung nalaman ng mga Philippian believers na si Paul ay nasa sa Roma at siya ay in house arrest, pinadala nila si Epaphroditus upang dalhin itong love gift at paglingkuran. They were not satisfied with just giving their support. Pero nandyan din yung tinatawag na missionary care. Oh, there you go. The missionary care of Epaphroditus. At sabi po niya sa verse 25, I think it necessary to send back to you Epaphroditus, my brother, fellow worker and fellow soldier, who is also your messenger, whom you sent to take care of my needs. Oh, so siya ay pinadala upang paglingkuran siya. We can only speculate as to ano yung paglilingkod na yon. Ito kaya ay pagluluto? Ito kaya ay pagmamasahe? You know, we can only speculate. Pero pinadala siya to take care of his needs. Verse 26. For he longs for all of you and is distressed. Oh, bakit siya distressed? Because you heard he was ill. Now, that's quite interesting, quite humorous also, dahil aking ikino-compare ito sa situation natin in modern times, no? Nadidistress tayo kapag tayo may pangangailangan at mukhang hindi napapansin yung ating pangangailangan. Di ba? You know, that's usually the source of our distress. Perhaps not true of you, but true of some Christians. Pero itong si Epaphroditus, iba. Ang distress niya, nagmumula dun sa merong, yung kanyang church sa Philippi ay concerned na concerned sa kanya dahil siya ay nagkasakit. In other words, ayaw niya na siya ay nagiging pabigat sa iba. Huwag kayong mag-alala. Yun ang kanyang gustong sabihin dito sa mga Christian sa Philippi. Don't be overly concerned about me. Nung nalaman niya na overly concerned itong church niya para sa kanya, that caused some distress. which makes us realize, no? Na itong tao na to, si Epaphroditus, hindi rin niya iniisip ang kanyang sarili. Ang focus o ang tuon ng kanyang pansin nasa sa iba. Wonderful. Which means, he too is an example of humility. Verse 27, indeed, he was ill. Nung nalaman nila na nagkasakit si Epaphroditus, they were concerned. He was ill and almost died. But God had mercy on him. Not only on him, but also on me, to spare me sorrow upon sorrow. Oh, pinadala siya para paglingkuran si Pablo, you know, subalit nagkasakit siya at kuntik nang mamatay. Pero sa awa ng Diyos, gumaling siya. At biro mo kung mamatay pa siya, dagdag dalamhati kay Apostle Paul. Wow. You know? But he serves as an example of one who does not insist on oneself. God is not focused on one's rights, comforts, or what he thinks he deserves in life, but he is focused more on the will of God, on the needs of others. Therefore, I am all the more eager to send him so that when you see him again, you may be glad and I may have less anxiety. Welcome him in the Lord with great joy and honor men like him. Why? Because he almost died in the work of Christ, risking his life to make up for the help you could not give me. So dapat daw parangalan ang mga tao na nagpapakita ng ehemplo ng humility. Isn't that wonderful? So that seems to be the train of thought. Yung pang-anim at panghuli na bahagi, subsection nitong the joy of Paul over the humility and unity of the church. Yung pang-anim po is the human examples of humility. Verses 17 to 30. Ang ehemplo ni Pablo, ang ehemplo ni Timothy, at ang ehemplo ni Epaphroditus. Now, I hope that you can do chapter 3 and chapter 4. Sana masundan niyo yun, no? And I hope I have given you enough, para makita kung paano sinusundan yung train of thought ng manunulat. At ganyan ang ia-apply po natin sa ating pag-aaral ng bawat aklat ng Biblia.